our Browns Foundation and everything that Dee and Jimmy are doing in the community. So this is an awesome day. Obviously, as you guys see, great weather. So we're excited to be out here. Got a bunch of players out here. All our coaches are out here. So as you know, raising money for a good cause. So special day, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Kevin, will we see anything different at OTAs Wednesday in terms of quarterback rotation?
Honestly, Tony, every day is different. Every day we're mixing and matching, if you will, giving guys different looks. I've told you before, it's not going to be a 25% down the middle type thing, or I guess down to fourths, but we're trying to expose the guys to different things.
What have you learned about these guys, Kevin, that you've had them here outside for a while?
Yeah, we've learned a lot, Jeff. I think the big thing is, and we've talked about this is an all-encompassing evaluation. So we were evaluating the guys during phase 1, during phase 2, and now finally phase 3, you get to go against your defense in some settings where our quarterbacks and our offense get to go against them in 7-on-7 and some team drills. So all of that adds up to reps for us to look at, and it's not just looking at the result of a play. We're looking really at everything with these guys.
Kevin, for the quarterbacks and the offense as a whole, what should look better and be better this week and next as opposed to last week?
Yeah, I would say this. I think, as you guys know, there's only so much you can do based on the rules, the constraints that you have, whether it's 7-on-7 and teams. So we try not to look too much into the result, just black and white, if that makes sense, because there's things that our defense isn't doing and things that our offense isn't doing to gain advantages, if that makes sense. So really it becomes, are you doing what you're asking you to do? Are you using the proper technique? Are your decisions sound? And then the accuracy of which you throw it. So I'd say all of that adds up to really good work for our guys, and this is definitely part of learning how to get ready to play a game too, because as much as we're just working drills, ultimately you're also getting ready for September as well.
Kevin, how different have you noticed just Shedeur and Dylan specifically in just a month's time?
Yeah, those guys are doing great. They are both wired to get in early, stay late, put in whatever work is required. They're sponges in the meeting room, which I think is really fun for me. In my vantage point, I get to sit there and watch the two young guys look over, and there's Joe, 40 years old, won a Super Bowl. There's Kenny Pickett, just going into year 4, but first-round draft pick that's been on a couple teams, won a Super Bowl last year. There's Deshaun, had a ton of success in his career. They can kind of feed off of all those guys. So that's the thing I'm really it's fun for me to watch them get better sometimes just by listening.
Kevin, how important is it for some of these young players that have come in here, even guys that are maybe in their second or third year, to really pay attention to how the older players approach this time of year, and as opposed to maybe expecting the older players to give the big speeches and things like that, just to have these young players, I guess, follow the example set by the older.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something, Darryl, that I talk about with our young players. You know, we often talk about leadership. There's also followership and the ability to find that guy that I want to follow. And sometimes it can just be from observation. As you know, there's some great leaders that don't say much, and that's okay. I think if you find the right guy in your meeting room and see how he handles himself in the meeting room, see when he gets out on the field, what does he do when he's out on the field, how does he prepare? I think all of that certainly you can get in this time of year, but also that then goes to the season, and as you get in your routine, really attaching yourself to a vet. Those guys that end up playing 10 years in this league, that's simply not by accident.
Kevin, how relieved were you when Joel decided to come back?
Yeah, very relieved. Obviously, I was hopeful that Joel would be back. He's been here with me every step of the way. He's been a huge part of what we do on the football field. He's a huge part of who we are off the field. I think, you know, it was no small thing when we put that golf simulator in Berea. I think that certainly maybe tipped the scales in our favor. But he's a pro's pro. I think he's a future Hall of Famer, so I'm thrilled he's back.
Kevin, Andrew has said he met with or evaluated Pickett during that draft.
Mm-hmm.
Pickett just said that you also met with him in that pre-draft process. What is it about him, his quarterbacking, that suits what you're going to do on offense?
Yeah, well, I'd say we meet with everybody, so I bet you Kenny met with all 32 teams. But I like how Kenny's wired. He's a really tough kid. When we traded for him, Coach Narduzzi called me right away and was thrilled because he just believes in who the young man is and how he goes about his business. He's a gym rat. He's another guy that works extremely hard at his craft. But we're excited about his skill set. I'm excited about the things that he's been exposed to in his young career already. And then, he's just got to, like he's doing right now, he's focusing on putting one good day in front on top of another.
Kevin, has Shedeur taken some 11-on-11 reps when we're not out there, and do you think that we will see some of those on Wednesday when we do come out again?
Yes, and I would say there's a lot of work that gets done when you guys aren't out there, believe it or not. But even and I say that, Mary Kay, even in a meeting or in a walkthrough, just our guys are getting exposed to a lot.
I know a day on the golf course is probably fun and obviously for a good cause, but how much do you look forward to this, having so much of the team getting together outside of the building?
Yeah, it's a big part of it, Cam. Just as you come together as a team, you want to spend time with each other, whether you're going out to get dinner or lunch or spending time over the weekend with each other. So this will be fun. I'll make sure that whoever captures some of these swings, I'll include them in the team meeting tomorrow. But the guys, they enjoy being out together. And we do have a few guys that enjoy the game of golf. So you'll see a few of them. They've been around town playing, and this is just another way for them to be around their teammates.
Kevin, you talked so much about the division. I was wondering what you thought about that proposal. I know it didn't pass, but to not, to reseed when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of takes away from the emphasis you like to put on the division?
I do. I understand both sides of that argument, but I think winning your division really should be the primary goal of every team, and it should mean something where you get to host a playoff game. I understand some of the things that were brought up at the league meetings. We'll see if that gets revisited next year, which I would assume it does. But we know our division. We know how tough it is. We beat up on each other, and we feel like there should be some type of reward for that.
It seems like the compromise would be to reseed after the first round, so you would still get your first
Right.
game, but if you were like a 9-18,
Right.
you'd go down.
Right.
Are you opposed to that?
Yeah, I would love to see a little bit more of the information on that, Tony. I think that's something that will come up next season and in the owners' meetings and the league meetings as they talk about those things. Those are the type of discussions we have not had yet. I've seen that proposal, but we have not discussed that one at length.
Because we're on a golf course, at practice the other day, I saw a TrackMan.
Yeah.
You guys had set up. What do you guys track with that?
The kickers use that. Just see that. What's really important about that one, Scott, is the height of the ball when it crosses the line of scrimmage. So you can kind of tell, make sure that the ball, you can get lulled to sleep as a kicker if you're just driving the ball and realizing that there's going to be guys like Myles Garrett putting their hands up at some point.
Kevin, it seems like a lot of conclusions were drawn or have been drawn about where things sort of already stand in the quarterback competition, based in part on one OTA that was open to me. So my question is are those accurate possible evaluations at this point?
Yeah.
Or?
It's so, I know in our day and age, one clip or one day or one practice can be all that gets out there to the public. I would tell you the guys are working extremely hard. They're doing everything that we're asked of them, and we're very excited about all of our guys. I know a lot of attention goes to that quarterback room. I get it. That's the most important position in football, but I'm really proud of all the guys for how hard they're working really throughout this offseason.
Kevin, along those lines, you've told us not to read too much in anything. Fans hopefully trying to get that message too, but we know naturally that'll happen. And along those lines, you talk about how this time of year is maybe better suited for like the quarterbacks, the DBs, the receivers. So as a whole, though, like what is the main thing, the main goal that you're hoping to get out of like the OTA settings versus something like mandatory minicamp or even training camp?
Sure. I think that off-season program, you're really building a foundation, and that's for the players. You're building a foundational understanding of scheme. You're building a foundation of the culture, like Cam was talking about earlier, just being around your teammates. So that's really what we're doing right now. When we get to training camp, we'll build on top of that foundation. But so much of what we're doing right now is just making sure that the guys understand who we are, what it means when we say Cleveland Browns, what it means when we say offense, defense, special teams, how we play. Because we're different than the other teams in our division, just like they're different than us. We want to make sure that we have an identity that's unique to us. So a lot of that is building that foundation now. so that when you get to training camp, you can build upon that.
It seems like
Two
those
more, and
guys
then we're going to get
do
Joel
a very.
Deontay Johnson return to the program.
You guys are out there tomorrow, right? Oh, see you Wednesday.
It seems like those guys do a fairly good job of shutting out that external noise. I guess, like, why do you think that is? The quarterback room specifically, like with the competition.
Yeah, I think external noise is nothing new in pro sports, and whatever the noise may be, and that's kind of our job. That's the fun part for me is I get to go into work and pull in and close the door and get to work and not focus very much on that. We understand that exists. We understand that there's a great interest in our sport. That's what keeps us going is our fans' level of interest in our sport. So I completely get that part, but it doesn't factor into our day-to-day. We have a lot of work to do and don't really pay much attention to what's going on outside. With all due respect.
Thank you.
Hit him straight.
Yeah, I'll try. Let them all out.
Joel's ready to golf.
My guy.
Are you going to ask him if you can get in the golf simulator?
Golf simulators for the springtime. Got summer now, yeah.
I thought there were like advantages to using a simulator just like with the swing or whatever.
Probably are, but
How's your golf game?
it's trending. We're doing all right. Off season, got the simulator in the Browns facility now, so that's helped a little bit. So I've been playing pretty good. I think I'm floating around a 10 handicap right now, so pretty solid.
Kevin told us the simulator was a recruiting tool for getting you back.
It might have been. It might have worked. Early in the off season, I was in and I was kind of working out and playing golf, and Kevin would walk by and AB, and I was like, at this point, if I told him I wasn't playing, it might get a little weird. You know what I mean? Like I've been like using the golf simulator every day, but no, it's that's funny. That's a good part of it.
So Joe, you've earned a few perks of course in your career, and one of them was you don't need to be at this stage of the off season. But you wouldn't do that 5 years into your career. Could you speak to what you think is the importance of the OTAs for the team?
Yeah, I think there's a process that you want to get your offense installed, you want to get your defense installed, you want to get your foundation of what your standards of a team are, all that stuff, and then you want to get reps of guys getting reps at doing the technique and learning the technique. And I got to a point in my career personally where it was the extra reps versus how my body feels. And so I've kind of worked through that over the last few years. And like this year, I've been in meetings. I've been in the weight room with the guys. I've been working out. I've been in, Berea all off season. So I've seen that. I've been around the guys. And it's really just a process of getting guys reps and building your depth and finding guys. Because truly, I don't think anybody makes the team or doesn't make the team in OTAs. But you get a foundation of, what you want your team to be.
So the last time, a few times we talked to you in the offseason, this was obviously a big decision for you to decide whether or not you come back. Now you've been back for a while. How does it feel to be back? Do you feel like you 100% made the right decision?
Yeah, it's been great. I was truly it was truly a decision. Like this off season. Like I was at the end of the year, I was truly deciding if I wanted to play anymore, and I kind of sat at home for a month or two and was in and around and talked to my wife, and we just went through the process, and I was like, I can still play football at a high level. I still want to play football. And, after the discussions with Coach Stefanski and Andrew Berry, and they don't tell you who they're drafting or anything, but, just the style of offense we were going to run, who we're going to, try and bring in at quarterback. Offensive line coach, Coach Bloom was a big part of it. He was just, we went to dinner a couple times and just talked on his philosophies. All those things played in, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not ready to be done. I want to play more, and I want to play in Cleveland, and that was kind of my mindset.
How important to you is it that the team choose the best quarterback to win this season rather than to assess their future?
Yeah, we want the best guy. I think I said that on a radio spot I did, but we want the best guy. We want the best guy to compete. And, you understand that the team has a duty for future years, but I think going into the season, like, we're going to put the best guys out there, and we're gonna try and win as many games as we can. We know we're in a tough division. We know the AFC's tough, but I think we have faith that we're gonna put the best guy out there.
Joel, last year fell apart like it did. Joel, you've had a chance to kind of sit back and maybe analyze that.
It was kind of a snowball. I think we started out and we just didn't perform to expectations, and we could say it was the scheme and the players that were there and stuff. And I think it just comes down to, like, we weren't good enough, and then we kind of let that affect us. And by the halfway point of the season, you're out of it, and guys. We struggled to put wins together. We had a little spark when Jameis came in, and we beat Pittsburgh and, like, Baltimore, and we're like, all right, we can play with anybody in this league. And that kind of, to me, that showed that we still had the ability. And we just couldn't put together wins. The Denver game was close, and you win a couple more of those toss-ups early on. I think it kind of changes things. But overall, I think we just had the wrong mentality, and I think Coach Stefanski's already stressed the toughness that we need to bring back, how practice is going to be. I think not minicamp, but the rookie minicamp and the OTAs have already kind of picked up that tempo. We're not resting on any laurels of playoffs or anything like that. It's a new team, and we have to establish our standard and what we want the Browns to be.
Joel, this offseason, what Andrew Berry did, just, what's your view on it, and how much, did that make your decision easier?
Yeah, I already had, obviously, a relationship with Joe Flacco. We bring him back. Kenny Pickett, from everybody I've talked to and been around, I've golfed with him a couple times. He's just a guy that wants his chance, and he's hungry to prove that he can play in this league. Then you draft 2 young quarterbacks. So I think the quarterback room, like, we have 4 guys that can compete that, like I said, we want to put the best guy out there and kind of see where we are. I think we did a lot with our defense. You bring in a young top 5 pick at defensive tackle. You sign a couple other guys to bolster their defense, and you hope the defense can come back to 2023 and be one of the best in the league, and the offense can ball control, run the ball, play action, do all the things that you want to. That's like the picture you paint, and you see where you're at, and that's what we're kind of hoping for. But hope is an easy word. We're trying to work for it, and we're trying to put the group out there and try and win some games this year.
Joel, you and Jack were both very vocal right after the season about the offensive scheme and getting back to sort of what the identity of this football team. How much do you feel like what Tommy and Kevin and Mike are sort of putting together, how much does it kind of get back to the roots of what this team identity should be?
Yeah, for me, it feels like a 2020, 2021 install of the outside zone with power schemes mixed in, which I think is a strength of, what our line does. Obviously, we're a little bit older, but like Jack comes from that outside zone. Wyatt is one of the better pullers, power blockers in the league. Poe can kind of do it all, but I think it fits us so much better. And then for an O-line, like, you drop back 40, 50, 60 times a game, and that's still going to happen. You still have to pass the ball to win in this league, but if you can have a brand of, like, we're going to take care of the football. And I think the way we won in the past is, like, our defense was fresh. Like, the games that they play great, they play 50 or 60 snaps, not the 70 or 80 snaps a game. And so if we can control the ball and handle those things, I think it's a big step. But from the installs and from what I've seen, it's going back to what Coach Stefanski has been known for.
So is that where the toughness, we're establishing the toughness starts? That scheme you just described?
Yeah, we got to be tough up front. We got to turn 2-3 yard runs into 4 and 5 yard runs. Our defense has to be tough. It's all toughness. It starts training camp and just having that ability to go to battle. And when things do not go, it's a long season. You're going to lose some games, but how do you bounce back? How do you not let one loss turn into 2? And so we got to be tough up front for sure.
So do you go into this season after you made that decision thinking this is the last one, or will it be every offseason?
I think it's going to be every offseason. I definitely am not going to take like a retirement tour. I think we're filling this out 1 year at a time. If I go into next offseason and I'm feeling good, like, we'll see what we got left. If we want to still play, but right now I'm just focused on this season and playing for this Browns team.
Joel, you mentioned Coach Bloomgren. Like, what have your first impressions been of him? Can you go in a little more detail on that and you guys going to dinner and stuff?
Yeah, he's been positive. He's a true, like, O-line coach. He gets nitty-gritty in the details. He's focused.